In our last conversation, we did talk about your party in the tribunal and the disharmony within your party. Now the tribunal have commenced in earnest, but the disharmony and the disunity within your party don't seem to have abated.
Well, there's no major crisis in Labour Party, just some hoodlums trying to create disaffection in the movement. Lamidi Apapa and his cohorts, obviously you can see they've shown their fangs. Here are people who hitherto could not afford to buy tickets when they're called to meetings from their places of domicile to Abuja. Suddenly they have a private jet to go around the country. It tells you something. In my place, you say, when the bird is dancing by the door, there's a drummer in the bush. We know what is happening. They've compromised, and we're undeterred. We're not worried about them. Totally insignificant mob.
Well, at the tribunal, we did cite Mr. Abure, the chairman that many people seem to know, with Mr. P to be the presidential candidate of your party. Is that your party's way of making a statement on who the authentic leader is?
Very significant. If Apapa was the leader of the Labour Party, he ought to have been in court. If not even sitting next to P2B to give moral support, he doesn't care. He's compromised. If you recall the last time I told you that his ambition was to take over the machinery of Labour Party and ultimately congratulate the select winner and perhaps withdraw the petition at the tribunal. But what he failed to realize is that we have a smart cookie in P2B. He's been through that route before. And even if anybody tried to withdraw on behalf of Labour Party, you cannot withdraw on behalf of P2B because he also is suing, petitioning by himself. His non-appearance indicates that he's just a spoiler. We know him for what he is. He's a spoiler. And I'm urging the Labour Party to sue him to court for impersonation. I don't see why we're being gentle about it. I think we might go that route. Take him to court for impersonation and stop the court, to ask the court to stop him from parading himself as such.
Before I push further matters I see in the burner, the Presidential Election Tribunal have commenced in earnest. Do you still stand confident that you have a good case and that you will get solace?
You see, I have always said that in a situation where two people go to court, both of them know the truth. We know who is telling a lie, and we know who is on the path of truth. So the person on trial, or the body on trial, is the judiciary. And we are expecting the judiciary to gauge the mood of the nation and be on the path of justice. We have brought the matter before the people of Nigeria through the court, through the tribunal. And it's just like the NSAS tribunal. The government of Lagos State produced the panel that sat on the NSAS tribunal. If you recall, they chose eminent Nigerians and told us that nobody was murdered at Lekki during the October 20th, 2020 or 21 upheaval. And the tribunal sat unanimously agreed that, listen, you guys are lying. People were actually massacred. Why? Because the evidence was overwhelming. You could not browbeat the judiciary or the commission of inquiry to that effect. Similarly, we're expecting that the evidence that will be adduced in this tribunal of P2B will be so overwhelming that the jurists will have no option but to toe the path of truth. We know the truth. Bola Tinubu did not win the election. Why all the campaign? Why all the adverts? You've won election, let us jubilate with you. Why all this advert at Asiwaju is coming where? To go to jail? The man never won an election, we know it. The truth is coming out. We've seen the results of IREV in River State and other places. Let us wait. The judiciary must, I repeat, must do the needful. And it was prophesied that Buhari may be the last president of United Nigeria. Let's hope it doesn't come to pass, because people are hurt and people are aggrieved. And I don't think they will accept anything less than justice. No amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the political class, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-called novo rich, no amount of intimidation by the so-call Tinubu and his courts can change the minds of the people who are sitting at the tribunal. We know they're eminent people and they will do the right thing.
Much of this said, let's move to some other developing events in Nigeria. Recently, Ohanaeze Ndigbo did replace the immediate past chairman, Chief Obiozo, with Chief Iwanyanwu. Many have spotted fault lines in his emergence as chairman. As an elder of Inanioma, which is a component of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, what are your views on the emergence of Chief Iwanyanwu as the chairman of Ohanaeze Ndigbo?
I think it's a wrong thing to allow the politicians to take control of Ohanaeze, and that is what is happening lately. After the demise of George Obiozo and his deputy from Rivers State, the position of Ohanaeze president remains with Imo State. The Ohanaeze constitution says that Imo State must therefore produce 3 candidates to the Imeobi of Ohanaeze for scrutiny. Imeobi will not do the recommendation and pass it on to the General Assembly. None of this was followed. I'm not going to talk about the person of Iwanyanwu. I believe he's a card-carrying member of a political party, which again is against the constitution of Ohanaeze. If that's what they want to do, I've told our people in Delta State, we may begin to distance ourselves from the madness and shenanigans going on in the East. They're not serious.
What is the ramifications of this sequence? You did talk about Delta State. How participatory is Delta State in the affairs of Ohanaeze Ndigbo?
We had Uwechwe once, I think that's him. He was the chairman of, president of Ohanaeze. We had a big guy who was vice president of Ohanaeze. We've tried to take part as much as possible, identifying, because we have a saying in our place here, what happens to the pot happens to the water in the pot. We cannot deny the fact we're Igbos, and what happens to Igbos east of the Niger affects us. So we cannot sit idle and allow them to drag our names to the mud. I mean, a lot is happening in the East. Take, for instance, before the election of the presidential election, we had the madness that went on in Anambra State with Soludo. I mean, for God's sake, why deride the man? Soludo's utterances were not necessary. But we can see what happened. Obi went to Anambra State and clinched the thing by 97%. You had the clowns in Enugu and where is it again? Abia, following Wike dancing naked in the market square. You followed him around. And as recent as last week, we're still having utterances by people who do not feel that P2B deserves the kind of respect he has brought to Ndigbo. It's a shame. Since the inception of Ohanaeze and until recently, we've not had the kind of gang-up. The last meeting of Ohanaeze in Enugu, all the governors, I think bar one, Ebonyi, who sent a deputy, I believe, were in attendance, ostensibly to show unity against one man. Why are they coming to Ohanaeze? And I blame Ohanaeze because Ohanaeze by now ought to have fashioned a way of funding itself. It's a matter of money. It's a question of money. Ohanaeze should be able to fund itself. I have not heard of the governors of the North bulldozing their way into Arewa Consultative Forum, nor the governors of the Southwest bulldozing their way into Afenifere. It doesn't happen. Why must Igbos dance naked in the market? It's disturbing, very disturbing. Those guys should distance themselves from Ohanaeze. And if they don't, I'm afraid we'll have nothing to do with them.
The subnational elections have come and gone. What should Deltans be looking forward to from your party going forward, though there are still cases in court?
Well, Delta State is a peculiar state. I'm sure you know that. It's a macrocosm of the Nigerian nation itself with lots of tribes. The election has been won and lost in Delta State. You know what happened during the presidential election? Obi cleared the state. Okowa lost in his own local government, in his own ward. He lost in his own ward. Even during the gubernatorial election, he also lost. And we know what happened, where votes, ballot papers were found in the bush. Otome Wane, who won in a car, I think is a car federal constituency, was badly bruised and beaten up. The poor guy, I think, has gone back to the States to treat himself. I don't see why elections should be do or die affair. You want to govern me. Why must you impose yourself on me? You follow? We have not imbibed the culture of let the people decide. And that's why sometimes when they talk about state police, which I occasionally pander to, I said, well, if these governors are allowed authority over state police, they will hound us to death. Ebonyi State is one particular state where the governor behaves like a lord of the manor, and it happens everywhere. Governors use the police or even the federal police to intimidate opponents. There must be a constitution that makes the appointment of the police chiefs the responsibility of the masses. Give them a tenure, maybe 8-year tenure, that they cannot be removed no matter what they do, except embezzlement. But by actions taken on behalf of the community, they cannot be questioned. When they realize that their tenure is guaranteed, they probably will not listen to the governors. A commissioner of police comes to a state, the first thing he does, visit the governor, courtesy call. He goes away with Ghana must go. Invariably. It happens all the time. So they're dependent for security on the governors. Governors provide hillocks, buses, trucks, buys them ammunition and things. So you are at the mercy of the governors. We must change that narrative. It is very necessary that we change it. Until we do, we're going to have a problem.
You have been talking about keeping Labour Party afloat and prosperous beyond the general elections of 2023. What programs do you have in place to ensure that the party flourishes?
Labour Party, you know what happened during the second election, the gubernatorial election? Most people who say they're obedience, of which I am one, decided that, well, we have done our bit for the Labour Party. The governorship candidates and assembly members are not necessarily people of our choices. So we'll vote for people we want to vote for. We try to coerce them into building the movement by having more people elected into the various houses so we can have that kind of support. But it fell on deaf ears, and I don't blame them because some of the candidates did not reach out. We did a lot in Delta State in particular to reach out to the masses using the candidates, but some of them were laid back a little bit. But what we're doing now in Delta State, we are getting the obedience to imbibe the culture of labor, move into labor, and become part of the political machinery so that your philosophy can manifest come next election. It could be the local government, which is imminent, or the next state and federal elections. That is very imperative. So we're working hard on that. Part of the reason why I'm in Delta State is to make sure that obedience become part of Labour Party. I had a meeting with the chairman, very amiable guy, and he's accepted that we should do more. And as you can, recently, one of the Labour leaders in the South followed the Apapa clowns, and it's been removed. So the chairman of Labour Party in Delta State has been moved up to become the coordinator for South Labour Party. Consequent upon that, there's not a vacuum, but there will be a readjustment in Delta State because he's from Delta North, and the person acting now is also from Delta North. We may not have Delta North occupying the position of South coordinator and a Delta North person occupying the position of chairman in Delta State. So we're looking at that, but we'll do everything so that everybody in Delta State will feel accommodated. We're working hard, and I promise you, the government of Delta State will not have it easy. We are going to sit on their coat every inch of the way.
In some quarters, people have the impression that your Delta North senatorial candidate actually won the February 18th senatorial elections, but was not declared or returned. You happen to be from that senatorial zone. A lot of the activities of that time was seen to be shrouded in mystery. What actually went down, and where are you on that?
Ken Kamma is in court, and I think he has a very good case. People with money are throwing money all over the place, but we're tired of money. Nigerians are tired of people trying to use money to buy their way. I spoke to Ken earlier this morning. He's in Abuja. He's making a serious case out of his stolen mandate. Just before the election was declared, he was leading with 60,000 votes. Where votes came within minutes to upturn it, we still have to find out. And that's what we want to know. I don't think Ned won the election. I believe he failed and is bribing his way through, which has become the norm. Part of the things we have to change is the structure of INEC. INEC was compromised in most parts of the country, beginning from the top to the bottom. And we're having issues with that. Hopefully we'll have a good government that will make sure that INEC becomes truly independent. As it is now, it's cash and carry.
So in clear terms, he's actually in court challenging that?
He is in court, definitely. I spoke to him. He is in court. You can see INEC has made itself a laughing stock. Mahmoud declaring somebody winner of election when results were still being collated. He gave impetus to that guy in Adamawa to also do the same thing. And the guy said it himself, what did I do different from what you did? You know, it's madness. People act with impunity. And that's because we don't have any leader in the country. Buhari is unaware of what is happening around him. And that comes from lack of education. You know, when we have people who are intelligent and educated at the helm of affairs, you can decipher right from wrong. For a president, outgoing president, to say, I have done my bit, and I'm going to go far away from the seat of power to Daura. And if you guys harass me in Daura, I'll go to Niger. It tells you something. He has no loyalty to this country. And Nigerians have not called him out. The press, the lousy press we have in Nigeria, except a few, have not really stuck on that story and asked questions. Why should a president, after serving or ruling for 8 years, give up on this country? It tells us something. Because most of the investment in the north went to Niger. I'm sure you know that. Refineries, Maradi rail line, many other things. Oh, we have to be careful whom we choose. I hope we don't choose a man from Guinea as our next president.
Well, I will tell you, it's a huge delight having these conversations with you always. Immeasurable thanks to you, Pat Delly, for your time and for your buoyant disposition.
Thank you, Peter. God bless. Thank you.